elegant, lovely women are often soft-spoken and don't overspeak.
Feel about a woman who says she wants princess treatment in dating.
A restaurant with my husband, I do not talk to the hostess, I do not open any doors, and I do not order my own food.
Princess treatment. This seems to be a term that is thrown around in the world of dating. I have seen it all over TikTok. And the problem with dating and advice on TikTok is it is shown to many young people who may not see any other opposing viewpoints. And it just becomes part of like the indoctrination and the propaganda of modern dating. And I think it's part of what's so wrong with dating culture these days is like TikTok advice is just bad. And people see someone endorse something on TikTok, brag about their lifestyle on TikTok, and assume it's the way to go. There's a lot of dating advice, I think, that borders on trad wife endorsement, and I think princess treatment does too, but I'll be honest, I have ignored most princess treatment dating advice videos because that is not for me. I never asked to be a princess. I never wanted to be a princess. I always wanted to be a queen because my name is Elizabeth and I thought I would be like, and I'm a redhead, Queen Elizabeth I. Redhead, I thought I was going to be a queen, and for some reason nobody wants to be treated like a queen. They want to be treated like princesses because there's like a difference, I guess, in like the context. You think of queen, you think of boss, you think of like Facebook CEO boss babe, but princess apparently is not boss babe. I'm going to look into what in the world is princess treatment, how is it defined, and my honest thoughts on the whole thing, just reactions to some TikToks that have popped up on my feed and I've saved them to talk about because I think it's an interesting conversation, especially as we've seen the rise of like alt-right trad wife marriage and dating being promoted. And I think what I've seen so far, princess treatment comes is like a very similar vibe. This is what Google says. Google says the princess method in dating, also known as princess treatment, refers to a dynamic where one person, often a woman, expects to be pampered, indulged, and catered by their partner. So there is a TikTok about it. So it says unlock the power of the princess technique. So I'm going to check that out on TikTok.
If you saw my last video on the princess technique, you're probably wondering, what is the princess technique and why is it so effective? The princess technique is a concept that you can use anytime you have a crush or you're in a situationship or you're feeling unsure of a connection that you're in. So the first thing you're gonna do is imagine yourself as a princess, okay? You're sitting on your throne, you're dressed up, you have the princess vibes going. Do you guys feel it? Because like, I feel it. Now, you're gonna start imagining yourself getting things, gifts, offers, romantic dates, all of the beautiful things that a princess gets and is entitled to. Ooh, I feel those gifts coming. Do you guys feel it?
I did not record my face reacting to that, but I want you to know my face was like this. All the gifts that a princess is entitled to. The reason a princess is entitled to those gifts is because her family is serving the realm. You just don't get gifts for nothing. When you get gifts for nothing, you end up like Marie Antoinette, and I don't think any of you want to end up like Marie Antoinette, but princesses aren't just innately entitled to gifts. The problem with modern dating is you're trying to apply this picturesque ideal of what you think people in the past did without any of the historic context of this. A princess would have a form of noblesse oblige, which meant that she was obligated to serve the realm in order to receive the loyalty of the people. And also that was like both men and women. Like princesses did good deeds. Like they would go out and give alms to the poor. They would show up at public events to like open public works. Like you don't just sit around and get gifts from noble guys and from the people. You had to work for it. I guess you're thinking of a Disney princess, which is never existed in real life. No princess has just waited around for a prince. So first off, that really annoys me. And her like princess technique is like, you're entitled to gifts. No one has ever been entitled to gifts. And if someone says they're entitled to gifts, they end up like Marie Antoinette. That's not Marie Antoinette. Hey, I really like Marie Antoinette. I don't think she ever felt entitled to the wealth of the French people. But that's what happens to people who think they're just entitled to get gifts from other people and not do anything in return.
Now, I want you to think of your crush or this person you're in a situationship with. You're gonna deeply ask yourself, what is this person offering me? What are they actually offering me? It could be love, it could be friendship, companionship, but it could also be nothing. Like they could literally be offering you nothing. When you can remember that actually you're the princess, you're the one with offers coming to you with plenty of options, you make yourself more attractive. Because girl, you're only willing to entertain offers that actually honor you.
Oh boy. I have heard that dating culture is like becoming very bargainary, like it's becoming very ultra capitalist in our late capitalist society, where you think of someone as like, what do they offer me and what do I provide to them, like a business deal. But do you ever think of like your friendships in this way? Are you ever like, my friend offers me this, therefore I will be friends with her? And with dating, I think it's the same way. Whether you're a man or a woman, viewing another human being as a source of benefit to you is just innately disgusting to me. I don't view this as any different from the hundreds of men who comment on my post about being a feminist, that I don't offer them anything because I'm a feminist and therefore I have no value. Like, if you only view people as valuable and useful to be in a relationship to you based on what they offer you, you are just a bad person in my opinion. But that is how to use the princess technique. The comments are very much applauding this kind of thinking, and then I see the numbers that show that Gen Z and other generations are struggling to find dates, and like more women are single than ever and men can't find a woman to date them. And it's like, yes, because you view it as a transaction instead of relationships. Like, relationships are not built on the benefits that people provide to them. I mean, I guess princesses in history were traded to the princes of other kingdoms in order to provide like security for a kingdom or an army, and we look back on that and we're like, that's terrible. That's a terrible way to like decide who to marry, is what will benefit my kingdom, what will benefit my family name. Basically, that's what y'all are doing. Y'all are not doing much different than the medieval practice of trading people in marriage for the benefit of the society. But now it's just completely selfish. It's the selfish benefit of yourself. I can't imagine wanting to date someone because I know that because I know that they are viewing me as beneficial to their life. When I ask my partner, like, why are we dating? Like, whenever I'm insecure about our relationship, he's like, I'm dating you because you're kind to other people and you light up a room when you walk in the room and you're generous with your time and your energy and you're just a happy person, and that makes me extremely attracted to you. None of that, what he said, had anything to do with the things that I offer him. And I'm not if you ask me, like, why am I dating my partner? I'm dating my partner because I genuinely love to spend time with him. I love the way he talks about his interest in life, his hobbies. I love how invested he gets in his hobbies. I love how close he is to his friends. Even though he lived abroad from the United States for 10 years, like, he's still really good friends with the people he went to high school with. A successful relationship is not very transactional. And like, when it is transactional, it tends to be unhappy. Very few people were happy that their father married them off for the benefit of their castle. Like, what is wrong with y'all? That's my genuine question. This idea of princess treatment goes beyond like, what can they provide to me? It's how it impacts your like entire relationship. To me, it seems to be like this theme of how men interact with you seems to seep into all of the various aspects of a princess treatment in a relationship. And this TikTok that I saw and I was like, I'm not gonna even watch this. I'm just gonna save this for later, because I could tell from the very first sentence I was going to have thoughts about it.
Talk about princess treatment if you're at a restaurant and how you interact with the waitstaff and the hostess. If I am at a restaurant with my husband, I do not talk to the hostess, I do not open any doors, and I do not order my own food.
I do not talk to the hostess, I do not order my own food, and I don't open the doors. What, are you, a child? Like, why are you bragging about this?
Had sent me a message a couple weeks ago asking about, like, let's say your husband drops you off and he goes to park the car, what do you do? Or if it's raining or something like that and he wants you to put your name down. And I had a very similar situation happen to me with my husband.
I think it's really weird that y'all have to know what to do to be treated like a princess by your husband because, oh, it's raining, one of us has to go into the restaurant while the other one parks the car. Just live like a normal human being and stop spending so much time and energy and brain power into figuring out how your husband is supposed to treat you. Just like treat each other like regular human beings. I'm sorry, but this is such a silly thing to message somebody to be like, how is my husband supposed to treat me if I have to run into the restaurant while he parks the car? Like, just act like a normal, just use common sense.
A couple weeks ago, I'll put her question on the screen so you can see exactly what she's saying, but me and my husband pulled up to a restaurant and he wanted to run in and see. We didn't have a reservation. He wanted to run in. Well, we didn't have a reservation, so we wanted to go up and see if it was possible for us to get in. He pulled the car up at the valet station. I stayed in the car. He got out of the car, told the valet, I'm just going to run in and ask a question. I'm going to leave my car here. I sat in the car while he ran in and asked them. they said, yeah, we have space for you. And my husband said, okay, I'm gonna go get my wife and then I'm gonna park the car. So he comes back out, opens my car door, walks me into the restaurant, opens the door, and I stand and wait. I did not make eye contact with the hostess. I did not talk to her. I waited until my husband came back. He comes back, does the exchange with her, and then we went and sat down. Let's say it's raining. You already have a reservation, okay? Your husband's gonna pull you up to the restaurant. He's gonna get out, open your door. He's gonna walk you to the restaurant door, open the door, and walk you in. He's probably then gonna leave to go park the car, or he's gonna go exchange whatever he needs to do with the valet. You're just gonna stand in the lobby or whatever the space is, and you're gonna wait for your husband to come back. You're not gonna go up to the hostess and give the reservation name. You're not gonna talk to her. This isn't out of like a, I'm better than them and I don't need to talk to them and I don't need to, I'm not like it's not in any sense like you're better than the hostess. You're just letting your husband lead and be masculine. He made the reservation. He's taking you out. Let him do
the way you're defining masculinity is dependent on your behavior is really weird. Like, your husband can be masculine whether or not you make eye contact with a hostess. Like, you don't have to define his masculinity by your behavior. And if you making eye contact with the hostess diminishes your husband's masculinity, that says a lot more about the fragility of your husband's masculinity than it does about the quality of the quality of your relationship is pretty bad too. But if your masculinity can be so limited and shattered by your wife acting like a regular human being and making eye contact with the hostess, then it wasn't great masculinity to begin with.
You're just being a princess. It's not because you're being hoity-toity. You're just letting your husband lead and letting him take care of it. So if I don't even know another situation where you would need to be dropped off, usually there's a valet so you can both get out together. But again, like, you don't need to feel awkward about it. Another huge part of the princess treatment is, I don't know if we specifically talked about this, but the over need to like talk and fill space. Like, you don't need to talk unless you are spoken to. And then if you are spoken to and they ask, you could just say, oh, I'm just waiting for my husband, and then he'll be able to give the reservation.
When I'm watching this, I'm thinking of like princesses that I greatly admire and people who have like defined princess. And to me, that's Princess Diana. I can't imagine Princess Diana acting this way. I don't even know how to, I can't even imagine it. Like, Princess Diana treated everyone with dignity and respect. And she wasn't going to let some like rules of society determine who she was allowed to speak to or not. She was going to hug patients with AIDS. She was going to risk her life by calling attention to bombs that were unexploded bombs in Africa that were making children lose their limbs, and how the UN needed to do a better job of like finding these unexploded ordnance and getting rid of them. Like, Princess Diana was like the people's princess. She defined like femininity. She was like a hero and an icon to so many people. They loved her not because she refused to make eye contact with the serving staff, but because she treated everyone with graciousness and respect and didn't let anyone's approval or disapproval impact her femininity. This is just such nonsense. Like, your femininity and your husband's masculinity are not determined by whether or not you make eye contact with a waiter.
Or you can say, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm not sure. My husband will be back, and then you can ask him. You can say it in a very soft and feminine way. I know this is going to be ripped apart. People will just take things seriously such the wrong way, but that's how I would handle it. And then let's just go further into, so if you're...
She says it's going to be ripped apart because it's wrong. And also, it wouldn't be ripped apart if you weren't telling people how to live. Like, you're telling people what diminishes your husband's masculinity and your femininity, and telling them that it will also impact their masculinity and femininity. Like, if you were just living this way and never inferred that your husband's masculinity was impacted because you spoke to a hostess, then none of us would care. You could have this little fetish of yours and like have your own little relationship dynamic with your husbands. But you were inferring that men's masculinity is determined by your behavior and how rude you are to wait staff.
New York, for the most part, the waiter would come up, they would ask, whatever, my husband would start to speak, and then the waiter would address them, and the waiter would get the hint and only then interact with my husband. Here in Salt Lake, they don't quite get it. I think they think that I'm like being, oppressed, or I don't know. They'll be like, what can I get you to eat? And I will just look at my husband. Like, if they address me first, I will just look at my husband and let my husband order. He'll say, oh, she's da 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 da. And then if they have a follow-up question, like, oh, do you want it like this? Sometimes I will answer let's say I think maybe my husband doesn't know what I would want, I will then address the waiter. But it's almost like they keep trying to like get me to speak. And I'm like, no, I want him to order for me. I like when he orders for me. It's not that I'm not capable of ordering for myself. It's just fun. It's just a fun princess treatment thing. It makes me feel special. It makes me just feel like over the top taken care of. So,
and you know your husband can order your food without you refusing to talk to the waitstaff. Your husband can just like order both from the very beginning. Be like, we're gonna have this and this. Like, I don't know what, it's a weird dynamic that they're asking you what you're having. All he needs to do is be, when the waiter comes up, he's like, I'm going to have a steak and we're also going to have the salmon. Like, and just order both things at once so that you don't have the next question, like, oh, what are you having? It's pretty clear right now from what she is stating that her husband orders and then the waiter goes, what are you having? And then he orders again. Like, that's super awkward. Like, why are you doing it awkward like that? Like, my boyfriend has ordered for me before. Like, it's just, we've just like talked like, oh, we're going to do this and that, or we're going to split this and that. And the waiter comes up and he's like, oh, we're going to do this and that. And it's not like I'm not choosing to interact with the waiter. It's just easier for one person to state what we're having for both of us. But you are making it like overly complicated with your weird dynamics. It's like you get off on the waiter asking you what you want and then you go like what is that? Like, why are you forcing the waiter to ask? Like, your husband should just step in and be like, this is what we're ordering. I mean, if he was a man's man, he would do that instead of being weird and letting, I guess it's like honestly, it really sounds like a fetish the way you're describing it.
Simply just look at my husband and then my husband will order. Again, you don't need to over speak, over exert yourself. You can be feminine.
Speaking is not overexerting yourself. I don't know why you have to make it sound like it's hard for women to talk in public.
The most elegant, lovely women are often soft-spoken and don't overspeak. They're not loud. Maybe let's also talk about that. You're not going to be laughing loudly, speaking loudly, demanding the attention of the room when you're at a restaurant. You're with your husband, your boyfriend, whoever, fiance. You're speaking to him, eye contact with him. The attention is kind of on him. You're not...
The most elegant women aren't loud or whatever. The most elegant women don't judge other women. The most elegant women don't define femininity and what it means for all women and say that certain women's behavior exclude them from elegance. The most elegant women don't tell other women how to behave.
Laughing so loudly that everyone in the room is looking at you, or speaking so loudly that everyone in the room is looking towards you. You take the napkin, put it in your lap immediately. You're not waiting. You're not, oh, sorry, you know what I mean? Oh, another thing, at the coat check, let's say it is raining, you have a coat on. Don't go up and wait and ask for the coat check. Wait for your husband. Let's say your husband's dropped you off early. Wait for your husband to come back and then he can take your coat off and give it to the coat check. So anything really, you're just waiting for your husband to do it. And again, it's not because you can't. It's not because you're not able to, and it's not because you're better than anybody. It's just the fun part of being that princess, of being that feminine wife, and letting your husband take care of you. You're already having to do so much. Your brain is constantly already on as a housewife, stay-at-home mom. You're running and managing so much. In those fun little moments, it's really just so lovely to let your husband do that for you.
So she does assume everyone she's talking to and encouraging this behavior is a stay-at-home wife and mom, as she just stated. But I just have a question, like, why doesn't your husband, like, when does your husband get a break? Like, if he has to work full-time and provide the income, does he never get a break? Because it sounds like you're making him do all of the work full-time, and then take you out to dinner and order for you. What she is encouraging is patriarchy. It also puts an undue expectation on a man that he has to do all of this in order to prove his masculinity and not diminish his wife's femininity. So both men and women are oppressed under patriarchy, and her video is a prime example of that. It's so hard for her to be a stay-at-home wife and mom because she has to manage the house while her husband works full-time, that she cannot speak to a waiter when they go out to eat. He's had to leave the house at work all week and interact with random strangers and just be out and like be on top of everything, and then he has to take you out to dinner and you can't speak to a waiter. I thank God every day I don't live this way, because this sounds utterly miserable. But the unfortunate thing is this kind of video is posted on TikTok and hundreds of thousands of people will like it, they'll share it, and young girls will see this and be encouraged to want to live like this, to be encouraged that they should be quiet in public, that they should be soft and elegant, and that they should want to be a princess, which she is defining a princess as a woman who has no voice in public, basically. That seems to be the crux of her argument. And when I think about all of the women around the world who are genuinely oppressed, who are forced to stay at home, who are not allowed in some nations to sing in public, or they're not allowed to hold certain jobs or things like that, and what they would give for an hour, a minute of life in a nation as free as ours, even though we have our problems and like feminism has a long way to go in the United States, but at least we're allowed to talk in public. And you're encouraging women to not speak in public. You're encouraging women to put all this responsibility on their husbands to preserve their masculinity and your femininity. It's just so bad for young girls to see this on TikTok, for young women to see this and assume this is the better kind of relationship. Relationships should not be transactional. They should not be about what kind of service a man provides to me, what kind of service do I provide to a man. Like, it puts this undue burden on men and women that is unnatural and breaks apart like the very heart of what makes a relationship good and long lasting. Like, all these people are like, oh, civilization is ending because we're not having kids, where you're telling women not to talk in public. Like, why would any woman like see this? It's confusing to me because it's like being promoted as like, oh, this is a good thing for girls, but like those of us who are fully developed brains, I think, who are not in this kind of relationship, we're like, oh, that is definitely toxic. But for a lot of people growing up, it's like these extremes of like, men are trash, I shouldn't speak in public, I should own my sexuality, feminine women are quiet and meek and soft and elegant. Like, there's these like massive extremes of what is presented to girls, and it's confusing and like hard to deal with. And I think it's just very negative. It's very negative. I'm not sure where my brain is going here, but I just am thinking of like the massive discourse about like how women are supposed to behave and how that impacts our relationships with men, and the fact that fewer people are dating and people are struggling to find partners, and there's this loneliness epidemic that is not just men. Both men and women are struggling to find partners and like struggling to flourish when it comes to dating. And maybe it is because of these massive extremes that have left a lot of people confused on like how to form connections and be successful and not feel guilty because, oh, my boyfriend didn't text me good morning this morning, so does that mean like he hates me? And it's like, no, sometimes you don't text every day. Like, sometimes you just like are busy, and like you don't need to text. You don't need, your boyfriend doesn't need a checklist of things to do to be like a good guy. You don't need a checklist of things to do to be a good girl. You should just be able to exist in your relationships, to like do what feels right for you without telling people or prescribing what is and isn't a good relationship. And like, the transactionality has never been a successful way of human relationships. Like, no time in history have we looked at people treating relationships transactionally and thought that was a good relationship. In the past, like when people were like, I'll give you my daughter in exchange for an acre of land, like we have a negative reaction to that. And yet at this point on TikTok and around, like, it seems to younger people, we're telling them to settle for transactional relationships, to look at human beings as what can they do for me? Never really what can I do for them, but what can they do for me? How can they promote my femininity or my masculinity? And running with that, and from the like extreme trad wives to like the ultra anti men hating feminists. Like, I'm a feminist. I don't think of myself as a man hating feminist, but I think a lot of them are like, men are useless unless they can do something for me. And that, so I'm contrasting like those two dynamics. And I think the princess treatment can be used by both sides to like exploit relationships. I would just encourage everyone to reject that. Like, no relationship should be transactional. Princess treatment is fake. Like, no one throughout history has sat around, waited for gifts from men and been successful in their relationship. Like, anyone who sat around and waited for gifts in order to be in a relationship with someone has not ended up in a relationship with anyone. It just hasn't happened. These TikTok dating gurus, most of them are wrong. Most of them are just wrong. And I would encourage you, if you're single and you're struggling to figure out whether a relationship is working for you, or how to interact with men or women, whatever is going on out there, like, most of it, just like go with what feels natural. Like, don't look for a checklist that a man or a woman needs to follow in order for you to, quote, have a successful relationship. Just, your dating standards can be high without being ridiculous. And if it makes you happy, run with it. But like, don't overcomplicate your happiness in order to satisfy like what someone on TikTok says would make a good relationship. Anyway, that was my little rant. I think I'm going to do a couple different kinds of videos a week. I think I'm going to do a more political video and a more culture video. And this was like my culture video of the week, where I saw this and I thought, I'm going to rant about princess treatment and dating because I think it is a crazy idea. So I hope you enjoyed this little video. It's a little more fun for me to make because I don't really have to think. I can just rant off the top of my head, and that is what I'm about sometimes around here. As I often say, this channel is about whatever's on my mind. So I hope you enjoyed that little soapbox moment on modern dating, and why I think so many people are struggling today is they just have these like ridiculous expectations of what men and women can do for them. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to check out my vlog channel, I'll be posting over there some more lifestyle vlogs and travel vlogs. And I'll see y'all all around the internet. Till next time, see ya.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.